Here's me, Joe Dispenza, where's my dream? Way over there. Why is it way over there? Because my brain is automatically estimating how long I'm going to have to work and go back and forth to work, and it's going to take time, and it's going to take energy. And when you start seeing the gap between cause and effect, thought and experience closing down, you're moving closer to the divine. And when that happens, all the things you thought you want, you no longer want, because the overcoming process leading to who you become, nobody can take that away from you. So we practice it in our seated meditations. We practice it standing and walking. You better walk as it, and you better be able to embody it and practice doing it with your eyes open. So when you return back to your life, when you walk from your house to your car, you're walking in the energy of your future. And if you keep doing that, it's going to become a habit. And people are going to start looking at you going, something's different about you. You know why? Because you're no longer showing up equal to their memory of you. Something's different about you. You're unpredictable. It's not what you're saying any longer. It's who you are. And so that person then is off their timeline. They're not headed to that same future. And all I want to do in a week-long event is bump everybody off that timeline into a new future. Some people, huge degrees. Stage 4 cancers, tumors disappearing. You listen to that story of the person on the stage. Your next meditation, you are not going to go half in. You're going to go all in. And that's all I want, I want people to go all in. I want to provide people with my greatest understanding of the truth, and then numerous opportunities to experience it, nothing more. And when the magic starts to happen, it's beyond, way bigger than me. It's beyond my control. All I want to do is provide the environment where they feel safe enough to begin to create. People come to this work because they have that feeling. They may not be able to put into words what they feel, but it's an instinct in their mind that never goes away, that there's more to reality than this dream. And I think that feeling brings them to this work. So when I started on this journey and What the Bleep came around, and that became an overnight sensation, and I was doing all the Bleep conferences, people ask me the same question. And I pay attention to questions because that's what's the real dialogue. They would say, okay, your thoughts create your reality. Okay, how do you do it? I thought that was a great question, because this is a time in history right now. 15 years ago, it was philosophy. Quantum physics. Now everybody's informed. Now people. This is a time in history where it's not enough to know. This is a time in history to know how. Just to know how to do it. And if you give them that sound scientific information, I now know that if I can speak it in a way that nothing is left to conjecture, nothing is left to superstition, nothing is left to dogma. They know exactly what they're doing and why. And the moment you know the what and the why, the how starts to get easier. And I learned right in that moment that if I got the person past the emotion, cross the river of change with me, forget about the emotion, just keep overcoming it. Forget about the past. Dragging people out of their past is the work. And so when we started studying those brains and we started seeing changes, pre and post measurements, I realized the change wasn't just in their mind. It was actually in their brain. And that we were measuring different compartments of the brain, and when we're living in stress and we're living in survival, when the brain is aroused into those high beta brainwave patterns and we're out of balance and we're trying to predict and control everything in our life, and we're shifting our attention from one person to another problem, to another thing, to another condition. Every person, every object, everything, every place has a neurological network in your brain. So as the person was aroused by the hormones of stress like a lightning storm in the clouds, their brain was firing very incoherently. Different compartments were out of sync with other compartments of the brain. And if your brain is incoherent, you're incoherent. And if your brain isn't working right, you're not working right. So if it requires a clear intention and elevated emotion to begin to change reality, and you have an incoherent brain, what kind of signal are you sending out into the field? Pretty static. In fact, better way to say it is you have no Wi-Fi signal. You're separate. And the hormones of stress create separation. And when you're sitting in a staff meeting and you're looking at that person and you just want to punch him in the head, or you want to throttle them in some reason, or you're angry on traffic and you're turning on those hormones, you're stepping on the gas. But at the same time, you can't fight, you can't run, you can't hide, you're stepping on the brake. You step on the gas and the brake at the same time, your heart starts beating incoherently and energy leaves the brain and heart. We've seen this so many times. So then, if the thought is the electrical charge in the quantum field, and the feeling is the magnetic charge, and how you think and how you feel creates your state of being, then we got to get energy right into this center right here. Because if you're going to believe in that future that you're imagining with all of your heart, it better be open and activated. And we got to teach people how to create heart coherence. And we have beautiful imagery to show that when a person's heart is coherent, like taking a big sheet and just flushing it, just whipping it like that, that wave that's created, the heart begins to send profound waves of energy into the brain, and the brain goes into a creative state. So the heart is the creative center. And our heart begins to drive our brain into more alpha patterns, more creative patterns. At the same time, when the heart gets coherent, it's producing an ambient magnetic field up to 3 meters wide. Now you're more wave, less particle. More energy, less matter. You're emitting a coherent signature. Now that energy is frequency. And that frequency carries information. So once energy begins to activate the heart and you're giving thanks for the event before it's happened, your body's so objective, it's believing that it's happening to you, because what is the emotional signature of gratitude? When you get something favorable, you receive something favorable, something just happened to you that you like, something's happening to you, you say, thank you. The feeling of gratitude, the emotional signature, means it's happening to you, it's already happened. So it is the ultimate state of receivership. So teach a person how to give thanks before it happens, open their heart, and their heart's like a pounding of a drum or dropping a pebble in water, is producing this field. It's that energy, that creative energy, can carry the thought of their health. It can ride, that intention can ride on the wave. That could be wealth, new relationship, suffering. And the energy does not carry the thought of health. It carries a different set of thoughts. So people say to me, well, I can't open my heart. Well, I ask them, well, what do you practice feeling all day long anyway? Because you're so good at feeling something else, you haven't practiced feeling it. So then, when we teach people this formula, they have to keep overcoming their thoughts, overcoming their impatience, overcoming the programs, that come right up against it. Anything that's standing in the way between them and their connection, they got to do business with it. And so as they start removing those veils, those masks, those layers, and they start crossing that river of change, and their heart starts to open a little bit, and they feel a little bit more, and they feel a little bit more, and their brain is coherent. Now they have a coherent brain and a coherent heart. The balance between the two is an exchange of information that's not coming from out there, it's coming from within them. And now they have a Wi-Fi signal. And now they're connected. When your heart opens and your brain is coherent, you feel connected to something greater. You don't feel separate any longer. So then, can you then get so good at it that no person, no condition, no experience in your life is going to move you from it? That's the name of the game. That's the Wi-Fi signal now. And so now, whatever you broadcast into the field is really your experiment with destiny. Not for the whatever you get, but for the fact that you created it. That's the fun part. And then, so many people, I have people in our work that created so much wealth. The first thing they did? They gave it away. Well, of course they would, because they now believe they can create it again. So now what? Now you just get good at giving. It's no longer about that. What do you want? You're going to get that car, and then you're going to be like, I'd rather drive the Mini. I don't really care about that whatever car. I'm just happy with what I have. So when you're at that point where you're so whole that you don't care what people think about you, when you're so happy with yourself that you're free, you don't care what you look like, you're just happy with you, man, that's freedom for people. That's so much freedom. So it brings me great joy to witness transformation. And that formula then, I always tell people, don't work on your healing. Work on learning the formula. Once you learn the formula and get it down, the healing will be the side effect of your personal change. So we teach that formula after about 10 years of research. and looking at all the data. And we have great universities right now around the world that are very interested in what we're doing. It happens once, it's an incident. It happens twice, it's a coincidence. It starts happening over and over again. It's a law. So we're seeing people, all shapes, all colors, all ages, all sizes, doing the miraculous. And you either live in survival or you live in creation. And living in creation is such an elegant moment, because you have to disconnect from everything known, and you have to get so present that time is no longer of the essence. You are in the internal present moment. This is a flip, because when we're living by our senses in three-dimensional reality, this space-time continuum, there's an infinite amount of space. And with an infinite amount of space, I'm local. I have a body, I'm local in space and time, and then I want to move from here to the door. One point of awareness, Joe Dispenza, my other point of awareness, the door. So in order for me to go from here to the door, I got to move my body through space, and guess what? That takes time. So if I'm creating matter to matter, here's me, Joe Dispenza, where's my dream? Way over there. Why is it way over there? Because my brain is automatically estimating how long I'm going to have to work. and go back and forth to work, and it's going to take time and it's going to take energy to finally manifest that home or that car or whatever, and you're going to have to work hard or you're going to rush faster to get it done. And when you finally pay off that house or whatever, you're too tired, too exhausted to enjoy it. When you pass through the eye of the needle into the quantum and you enter that realm of time-space, it's a different world. There's an infinite amount of time. Time is eternal. There's an infinite amount. Now think about this. How much could we get done if we had an infinite amount of time? If you had all the time in the world, there's infinite possibilities. That's the quantum. And in the realm of time-space, there's no past, there is no future. It's all happening now. And so there's no past lives or future lives. They're stacked on top of each other. And as we move through time, as we time travel, we experience dimensions or spaces. And we have all the latent systems in the brain once activated to open the door to that dimension. And it only takes one experience of entering that place that you cannot see the world the same way again.